Welcome everybody to our podcast. Today we decided to talk about relationship. It's very appropriate because this episode airs the day after Valentine's Day. So we obviously were gonna come to this topic sooner or later. So here it is. We're gonna talk today about relationships. In the meantime, check out our description box with all of the news that we have going on there. Subscribe, like the video, share it with a friend, and also follow along our clips that we post usually after the episode airs. It's a fun reminder, and also, if you did not have time to watch the whole podcast, you can also just check in the vibe from those. So, relationships.
Relationships. First, I would like to start by saying that everything we always talk about is actually about relationships because everything is a relationship. Our relationship with something or someone. So I wanted to start with that general, and then I want to share a story that about 11 years ago, I was living in New York. I was single, and although I wasn't as aware as I'm now, I know that I was very consistent with the story that I will meet the person for sure, the one. And a lot of friends, they care about you, they want to guard you, so they would be like, Armand, you live in New York, it's very difficult to date in New York, I don't think you're gonna find anyone serious, so to speak. And I kept just saying, you know what, if I want a relationship, the one I want, the one is my preference, and I live in a 8 million people city, for sure there has to be at least one person here that wants the same, or it's a match to me, and I will meet this person. And a few months later, ding, 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 ding. 10 years.
So you did.
And
the
counting.
The person.
Yes. Yeah. And the way we met was really magical. And it was very synchronistic, very beautiful, but maybe it's for another moment.
Yeah, but what did you want to say with the story? Where did you want to go with the story? There was something there.
I want to say that regardless what the reflections that I was getting from others, I kept consistent with my story, with my preference, and soon enough that happened. So
this is an awesome thing that shows very often in sessions when I work with clients, is that you do your inner work, right? So you start telling the story, and it feels good when you're thinking about your own story, right? So within your own four walls, meaning within just not even four walls, but within your state of mind, you feel great. But then you put yourself out there, right? Or you even say it to other people. I'm ready to, I want to meet someone. Okay, are you dating somebody? Are you not dating somebody? So it's on the menu because you want to have a partner. And then what happens what feedback are you getting from that? When the reflection is not satisfying, you're not meeting anyone, for example, or you're meeting people that are really not your preference. That also can be that reflection. And so it always brings me back to reading between the lines, because that, it seems from what you're saying, that's what you were doing. Everybody was telling you, well, it's tough, or it's this, or it's that, but your internal story was like, no, I'm just going to, even though this reflection is coming back, I'm reading between the lines by saying, I know this person is out there. and I do not need to like comb through 8 million people in order to get my own person. But I know that that person is there. So this consistency of staying with the story when the reflections are coming back, that's actually what does transform eventually for you to get the what you want. Because like, yes, when the reflection is not there, you do anything to put yourself in a place of alignment and to feel good. But at the same time, it's almost like saying, well, no, I already know that this is happening. I'm just going to give attention to this. And what's coming out as reflection is old news. And therefore, it's not really real anymore. And staying true to what you've already created within you. So I love that.
I want to add that I wasn't only consistent with saying the story, but I also was very consistent on living that story. In what sense? Also, the fun part is that at that time when we've met, I was going out often with a dear friend of ours,
Mm-hmm.
and he was actually reflecting the opposite. So everything I was actually seeing around me was um, the opposite of the story I was telling to myself. But at the same time, I didn't buy into those reflection, meaning if I wanted to experience dating, right, for some time, meaning we all know everyone can hook up, easy peasy, one night stand, and all of that. But I would meet someone, whether in a bar or someone would introduce me to someone in any way, and we would go to have a drink or we would have a coffee or whatever it is, but I wanted to have the experience of romance, right? Pre-romance, pre-dating, and I kept myself very faithful to that experience. And yeah, sometimes I would be, this person didn't call didn't call me back or something. I was wondering, but of course, like maybe on a third date when I'm still like, they're calling me to their home to watch a movie, and I would be like, no, let's just have a walk, like, and admire the flowers around in the garden. I mean, in Central Park, but so romantic. And I would still go into the next date. And then I also would focus on one person at a time, meaning that's what I wanted, right? So I wanted one person at a time, nothing wrong. It was just my preference. I was actually experiencing through other friends totally different reflections, and I was seeing how fun it is, it's not just what I wanted. And yeah, I was very focused on my preference, and when I made this decision, I think it took me less than a year to meet you.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. I remember you saying that. Well, yeah, I'll just circulate one more time back to the fact that you've made the change internally, and even though the outside factors were telling you something completely different, you were just like, well, okay, not there yet, but I know what it is. I know it's not this. So by less and less giving attention to what you don't want, you eventually got to experience exactly what you do want because you stayed true. But the part that here is interesting, because sometimes it may feel to some of you, I don't know if it was feeling like that to you, but I remember I was feeling like that. It felt to me like that sometimes, that especially if you're a go-getter, like if you like to go and get things and experience them, and then it's not showing up, then you're almost just like, it can be sometimes disheartening when you're like, well, I'm doing my inner work and I'm and I know who this person is, and I know what happens within the frame of my story. But if the reflection is coming back almost like a little test, like, hey, is this what you want? It may even feel like that. Like, are you sure you don't want this? Are you sure you don't want this? Like a little test / temptation kind of vibe. You know, it seems to me that in those situations, you were just like, no, I still know exactly what I want. And so kind of knowing and expecting it's coming, I feel not, you know, going hard on those reflections or blaming the reflections or going, you know, hard on you. Sometimes we can do
Yeah.
that. It's like, well, I'm doing the work, why is not happening? You know, I'm doing something wrong. You're not doing anything wrong. It's just the matter that as you started, like everything is in relation to you. The creation is always first within you, whether it's just an idea or a story or a whisper or whatever it is. And then if the reality was different before, it takes a little bit of time to tune in or to stay, not to tune in, to stay true to what you already are tuned into, right? Because that's what you're saying. I was already tuned into it, but then I was not falling back into the story of other people, or into, you know, my old reality, which was not having Costa in your life. That was just perfect.
Oh my god.
You know what, like when you didn't even know that like a joke was coming and it just comes and then you laugh at it. That was that, yeah.
You're so cute.
I just love it. I really had no clue that that's gonna show up, and I just love how I entertain myself and you and obviously everybody else.
Nice. So, yes. You know, only can speak about what I remember because it was 11 years ago.
Yeah,
and
but we don't have to talk about it anymore.
But yes, regardless the reflection I was getting, I was very stubbornly focused and I would say quite enjoying just living in my own reality and um,
Can I say something more about that that's coming?
yeah.
Is, well, you said I was just having fun and enjoying my thing, like my own reality within the frame of my mind, right? And isn't that like, you know, the process of expecting it, and just there was no doubt it's going to happen.
There was no doubt.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So also I want to say something really cool. So based on my previous relationships, meaning relationship that went for a long period of time, I made a few preferences. For example, I wanted to meet someone who maybe not particularly dances, but enjoys that I love to dance. Salsa, that I'm Latino, I love that music and everything. But also, because of my previous relationship, my ex-partner was speaking Russian, I was like, that would be really nice if I can keep that, you know, someone who speaks Russian, also Spanish because I'm Spanish. And then I meet Costa, who speaks Spanish, Russian, who is a ballroom dancer, like me. Not only that, when we started to connect the dots really quickly, the same night we've met, we realized that we knew everyone from the dancing circle, but we just never met each other. So that was truly magical. And that's our
I have
story.
something coming out.
Yeah, please.
Well, there's like way more nuance about it, but this is the first time I'm like actually not getting temptation to go and jump in with my stuff, which is interesting, but I'm getting like these insights, probably because we're rolling the camera tape right now. but the insight that comes about specificity of things, right? So there are certain things that you wanted to experience, or you were saying, wouldn't it be nice if, or this would be really like, I would really like to, okay, these things I do not want to bring into my new relationship, but these are the things I really appreciated about this relationship, and moving on. So first thing that comes is appreciating the end of one relationship to get into a new one. And while to change or to go into the new relationship with someone, whether it's friendship or romantic, but we're talking about romantic relationships today, is like to go with the good vibe into the new one, focusing on what you want to take from it. I kind of feel that just builds everything else up. And another thing is kind of what I'm going to share one piece of my story. Like, you can go very specific, obviously, and say, I want this, 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 and this. And, or you can look into it from a perspective of, I just have a couple of deal breakers. So I had like few deal breakers, or actually just one deal breaker, which was building a family or not, because with my ex-partner before that, I found that out later that there was no much interest about having family. And so knowing what the deal breaker is and kind of say, okay, these are the things that I want for sure. And then all these other things will just naturally line themselves up with the preference. Because all of the preferences that we've been making before we met, and I'm sure everybody is making before they meet their partners, is all of those preferences are already very clear. So I feel like just, being more inclusive and embracive around the parts that are really, really important to you. Then also to leave some room for exploration, because there will be a lot of things, or there are a lot of things in a relationship to build upon. And so I remember, or I know usually Viola talks about this as well, when people ask, well, I want this, 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 and this from my list, and why is that happening? And then we all would say, but how about the other list of the things that you maybe don't necessarily like as much? Because what partners are expanding one another, right? I mean, we are here to support one another, but we're also the biggest expanders for one another. And so, anyway, they just came to mind to leave some room, because they mention often, if you were to have, like, I don't know, 10 things you want to have, and they check all the marks, then what? What the relationship is about? Because there is going to be wanting or not some kind of growth moving on. And so that growth has to come from some kind of, contrast too, and subtle things to differences. Let's just not call it maybe contrast, but differences that are, cutely, or in a cute way, expanding us.
And I do want to add to that about the deal breakers, because I was thinking, I always was dreaming to having a family, so that wasn't a brainer. But what if you meet someone who maybe at that moment, because it took us 8 years to start the process to having a child. But imagine you meet someone, and then at that moment they say, well, I'm not sure, or I don't know. But then, in time, they can change their mind completely,
Well, yeah, I mean, okay, you can look at it that way, but I remember that you told me, for example...
I'm saying that because oftentimes people go to dates, for example, and they have, as you said, a checklist of things, and then when one of them is not there or something, like oftentimes within our spiritual community, for example, like, I want someone who is on my level of spirituality or awareness, and I'm thinking, what about a person who is open to that?
Okay, wait. I know. What's coming in to say is what are the deal breakers for right now? Let's just say for right now. I know for me that when you told me, it's like, of course I want family, but not now. For me, it was not important necessarily when, but it was just for me that part of the conversation at that very moment was very important to get a yes to,
Yeah.
because it was one of the biggest things for me. So maybe it's about what are the things that you want to have clarity on, something that's burning within you at that particular moment, and maybe not putting a timestamp. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Because we all change and we all shift and we all can. Oftentimes we maybe even want things, but we not fully aware about them, or we don't want to go there because we don't see how that's gonna happen or how it's possible, or
Well, yeah, you're not aware of some of your desires at that moment too. I understand.
and a lot of
Yes.
people also, for example, want to have a family, but it's just because you're supposed to. That also can
Well, it's
be.
okay. That's a whole nother story now. Let's not. You want to cover now all the oh my gosh.
Well, I want to cover so many things,
Yeah,
but
I know,
anyways,
yeah.
I think it's time to bring.
Did you? Yeah, we're gonna bring Viola right now, but was that like a moment of you being like, you're a little frisky with me today?
I'm frisky.
Let's bring in
No,
Viola.
I'm
Let's
being
bring-
yeah, I'm being frisky just in
Yeah.
general. Just in general, I
Uh.
not only with you, just in general, I'm. When you know, that's for sure.
Exactly.
But just
Sometimes you don't know.
I want to encourage people who would like to have a relationship to be open-hearted
Uh huh.
and read between the lines,
Uh huh.
you know?
And also, how about authentic? How about authentically also showing up?
Absolutely.
Yeah, everything. So if they feel like there's going to be a change, yes. But if they feel they need to put their things out there, yes. So, did we cover everything for you?
Okay.
Okay, let's bring in Viola.
Let's
see
bring
what
in
you
Viola.
have. Let's see what you have for today. Here now, present. Go ahead.
The first question I want to ask is, why do we humans want to particularly partner? I mean, I understand that without relationship we would cease to exist, because without relationship we wouldn't have any feedback about where we are internally. But and I understand from the biological perspective of, bringing more uh, humans, but in general, why do we partner?
It is all about the intensity and the speed of your evolution. And so you're born into a context of relation, you in relation to someone, to your parent, to the teacher, to a friend, to a family member, and then to someone that you choose in order to be able to have that more consistent mirror reflection. And so, besides, as you mentioned, those biological senses that you want to enjoy and explore and satisfy, it is really about the consistency and how often do you want to put yourself in the experience of similar feedback that eventually grows into different feedback. And some of the friends do that by having multiple partners throughout their physical experience. Some of them like to stick with one or with very few. And some like to not even label that as a relationship because they're in relationship with everything and everyone. And so you can pull that as wide or as narrow as you want. But the part that when you are going outside into the exploration of the physical world, as you go out of your unit of your family, at some point you like the freedom and you like to explore, but you're looking also for that specific way of relating or to receiving more consistent and faster rather, and sometimes why not even intense, positively or negatively, feedback from someone. And so you get an opportunity to at all times see about your change, whether you're choosing to see the change through different people or whether you choose to see the change of you through the same person who is reflecting that back to you. Everything at all times is changing, and so are you. And sometimes you really want to open up that unconditionality and you want to open up different dimensions of your experience by saying, there's no limit to from which angle I can experience me. And so I can have some different characters coming in and out, but through this particular character that it's reflecting it back to me, that being your partner, I really get to see all of the characters that I am as I am consistently changing through this constant that I have in front. And so it goes both ways, and that's why usually it's not either or. It's usually a very loving mix of the consistency or in interacting with certain relationships, whether they're romantic or not, or less frequency based off of what you're getting out of each interaction with each of the people.
So some people are, for example, wouldn't commit to what's considered traditional life partner relationship because maybe they are afraid that they gonna lose their freedom. I've discovered through my relationship with Costa that actually I have more freedom. And I would like you to expand on that and maybe even describe the differences. I mean, there is only one freedom, but meaning.
We'll give you the wider perspective on this.
Yes.
And this wider perspective on this is that if you say that you have absolute freedom in being non-physical and you come into the physical place with some kind of boundary, with some kind of condition, it's safe to say that you're always going to have some kind of condition. When you have some kind of boundary within you, or put the boundary around you, you are your physical you and someone is their physical them. And so from that perspective, you are this freedom who's chosen to have some kind of a bondage in your physical world, to have a very specific angle from which you want to observe. And so you come from this place to experience that freedom within the very specific angle of your perception. And so that is the case with every relationship too.
I see. And what would you say to those who are looking to manifest a life partner and maybe feel a little bit frustrated, disappointed, or anxious that it's not happening yet?
Would remind that clarity about what you want starts everything, but then also not to forget about those few little things that will keep the ball rolling. In other words, even with the perfection of finding a partner in that specific moment, that everything that you both meet criterias from one another, there'll be in the very next moment there will be something new that will cause you to expand. And so whatever criteria you're feeling that you want, that you have specified for yourself that you want in this experience, is just the starting point. And so you do not think about it, I found a person and now this is a never changing love, consistent for me, and I do not have to grow, or there is nothing to worry, quote unquote, about. Of course there is nothing to worry, but there is nothing to worry because the change is always there. And so wherever you meet your partner, we say you have the opportunity to choose to which extent do you want to be expanded by from this relationship.
Yeah, and speaking about expansion, I remember during one of Viola retreats, a friend asked, I remember the question, but it was about manifesting a life partner. And then oftentimes, I've heard so many teachers saying, well, make a list of positive aspects, focus on that, enjoy that. But then Viola said something, and now tell me what you don't like and how you going to react to that in your new relationship. Can you clarify a little bit more about that?
This is exactly what we just said. Let's say that all the criteria is perfectly met and there will be some kind of variance if you were to stay in relationship with this person. And so when that shows up, what would you do about it? Because it will happen. Every relationship is really between you and what you see as a reflection back to you. But when you have someone as a consistent person in a physical body, you sometimes feel like the reflections are consistently always the same, and we say they're always going to be changing because you're changing at all times. Sometimes you're clarifying something to bring up the question, sometimes you want to receive the answer. Things are changing at all times. So what we meant by look into something negative was not for you to look into something negative, it's for you to remind you that there is always going to be some kind of difference and variance that's going to cause you to expand. Otherwise, you'd rather quickly lose interest in this person.
And for those friends who maybe are in a relationship but having a reflection from their partner that is not satisfying,
we'd say read between the lines, because you have an opportunity to draw from them the aspect, the angle, the version that you want. In other words, you get to experience, you are not seeing reflection because you are not as steady within you within what you want to see. So if you are buying into what you're seeing, you're buying into old news. And we say, what are the real news over there? The real news is that which you want to experience and that which you're starting to clarify within you. And when it coils up within you a little bit, at some point, you start saying, well, this is not really what's happening over here. I can see what's between the lines. I can take a little step backwards. Take a little step backwards and see what's between the lines, that this person is looking for alignment. This person is looking, in other words, to find all the things that you already like and see within this person and then emphasize them. So all the other things that you want to see in this person that it's not showing up yet can resurface because it's there. If you have an opportunity to conjure it or to receive it as an idea and as a desire, it is there already. You just have to activate it by the power of your attention.
Is that why oftentimes there is even a saying like the I don't know how it's in English, so I'm just gonna make up, but you'll understand the context, like the chocolate period or the butterfly period in the beginning, and then suddenly it changes. Like there is a presumption that all relationships in the beginning are um,
You're talking about a honeymoon stage.
yes.
And after the honeymoon stage, in a relationship, there comes the shock. And we say yes only if you are focused on all of those amazing things that are there ready and then expect nothing to change. In expecting nothing to change, you'd rather find a really interesting and rather quick awakening to remind you that all of those things were just a springboard, starting point for you to know more of you in the shape of that relationship.
Thank you.
And for now, that's it. This is awesome. Our son looking for some milk now.
Our son woke up. You might
And
hear him.
he's saying he's ready.
Milk. Okay, guys.
We love you. See you next
Yes.
week.
Happy Valentine's.
Yes.
Every day.
Bye bye.
Mwah. Bye.